Pay close attention. The news you're about to see is fulfilling Bible prophecy.
Welcome to another edition of YPN News, bringing you news as it relates to Bible prophecy and foretold by Yisrael Hawkins. Well, what do U.S. sanctions, NATO, former Soviet President Mikhail Gorbachev, and international bullying have in common? Well, they're all part of elements that can lead to an all-out nuclear war, and they're a part of today's broadcast. While the world moves closer to war, destruction, and death, Yisrael Hawkins and the House of Yahweh are moving closer to their goal of bringing peace to all mankind through character education in this generation. We start off with another round of sanctions imposed by none other than the United States of America, but not on Russia this time, North Korea. This was Washington's response to what it said was a cyber attack on Sony Pictures Entertainment. North Korea's military agency and 10 other officials were named in this recent attack. And of course, this isn't the first time that sanctions have been put on Pyongyang by the U.S. They've been doing it since the 1950s and have tightened these sanctions in light of recent nuclear tests.
Pyongyang denies the cyber attack. The FBI says that it has enough information to implicate North Korea in the cyber attack that revealed embarrassing emails and some stars' personal data. Cyber attacks also threaten the company with terror attacks. That caused Sony to delay the release of the movie The Interview, produced by Sony, which ridiculed the North Korean leader. Now, this is the first time in history the U.S. has sanctioned a country in response to a cyber attack. Analysts believe these building tensions could lead U.S. into another war.
As if they actually need to do something like that. Well, 35 years ago, there was a hostage crisis at the U.S. Embassy in Tehran. Now, President Obama recently stated that he would not object to reopening that U.S. embassy, which is in Iran, if we can get a deal on making sure that Iran does not have a nuclear weapon. He said if Iran recognizes that it is in its own interest, having already said that, they're actually not interested in developing a nuclear weapon, to go ahead and prove that to the world that they're not interested in developing a nuclear weapon, but for own, purposes of supporting their country and so forth, so that as it's verified, sanctions are removed. So in other words, once they realize, yes, they're doing this for peaceful purposes and not creating a weapon, they'll go ahead and remove these sanctions.
The president continued, their economy would begin to grow. They're reintegrated into the international community. Now, if we can take that first big step, then my hope would be that that would serve as the basis for us trying to improve relations over time.
Interesting. Well, Jillian Turner, a Fox News contributor, says that the goal of normalizing relations with Iran would take years, even if the P5+1 were to come up with a permanent nuclear deal at the upcoming meeting that they're going to have here in Geneva on the 15th of January, in fact. She continued, she said that even if President Obama wanted to make normalization a priority, there's not enough time in his presidency left. And Jeff, some experts say that whether a nuclear deal is reached or not, this would more likely be considered a transaction than a transformation. Basically, a business deal, a very big business deal.
Now, some of you may be wondering just who is NATO, what is NATO, and just how big is NATO? Well, we've mentioned them before numerous times in our broadcast. NATO, or North Atlantic Treaty Organization, was formed April 4th, 1949 as a military alliance. Now, it's headquartered in Belgium and currently has 28 member states or countries. And just to give you a brief idea of their expansive military powers, here's some of the figures to consider.
Well, As of 2014, NATO's military capabilities consist of 29 aircraft carriers, including large deck and amphibious, 1,700 ships, including cruisers, destroyers, and frigates, 149 submarines, 140,000 MBT, VBL, and MLRSs, which are main battle tanks, light armored vehicles, and multi-launch rocket systems, 150 military satellites floating around, keeping an eye on things, 26,000 air-powered vehicles such as jets, fighters, reconnaissance planes, helicopters, mid-air refueling vehicles, etc. And Jeff, to top that off, on top of all that military power, over 5,500 nuclear weapons.
Wow.
What a beast.
Well, as we continue with the topic on Russia, Noam Chomsky, a political commentator, linguist, and world thinker, in an interview with RT, added topics concerning issues between Russia, the U.S., and its counterparts. Regarding NATO and its surrounding Russia, he said, NATO has expanded its borders to surround Russia. This despite agreement in the early 1990s around the collapse of the Soviet Union that NATO would not expand to the east. Now, that expansion initially went to East Germany, which upset the then Soviet Union president, Mikhail Gorbachev.
Sure. Former U.S. President George Bush made Gorbachev aware of this and stated that this agreement was only verbal. It wasn't written, so they didn't have anything to go back and go back to because nothing was actually put on paper at the time. Now, when President Clinton came into office, NATO expanded even further. Now, NATO's purpose was to defend Western Europe from Russian attacks, and when 1991 rolled around, there didn't seem to be a need for NATO anymore. Obviously, there had been no attacks, everything seemed to be okay, so some thought that NATO would be disbanded. Well, just the opposite occurred. It expanded, and its mission became to control the global energy systems, that is, the sea lanes and pipelines, and in effect, NATO would control the world.
Well, turning our attention now to the largest target centered in the sights of the West, YPN's Larry McGee has our story on the reemergence of the Cold War, NATO's drive towards Russia, and the ongoing talks between the Russian bear and the United States. Larry, are we back in a Cold War?
According to many analysts, we most definitely are, and the rhetoric is quickly heating up between America and its old orthodox nemesis. The world is watching, and the biggest question is, will the two quartet members find common ground, or will infighting, competitiveness, division, and hostile words produce world warfare? In a report recently released by the UK Defense Committee, it is outlined and asserted that the US and NATO, the army of the Pope, are not only prepared to destroy the Russian economy, but they are neither concerned about the potential ripple effect, which might also impact the global economy as well. The objective of the quartet duo, according to reports, is the ultimate dismemberment of the Orthodox Russian bear and the plundering of its vital resources, even if the robbery takes nuclear war. In the meantime, the formalities continue as negotiations between Washington and the Kremlin continue to make headlines. America is being viewed as two-faced, participating in and advocating dialogue on one hand, yet continuing activities that many consider to be provocative in Ukraine. Russia, whose reported desire is mutual cooperation with all other nations on an equal give-and-take basis with no domination, is also nonetheless setting its feet to fight, stating recently that throughout history, other nations have tried to defeat Russia. Napoleon never did it. Hitler didn't do it. And America will not do it now. Despite the feistiness, commentators such as Stephen Lindman report and sincerely believe that not just Russia, but also Iran desires peace and stability based on international law. And in his estimation, it is America that is the rogue state, which is risking the possibility of a global war that could even erupt this year. For YPN News, I'm Larry McGee. Katan, Jeff, back to you.
Well, Katan, it certainly seems like that rhetoric of the Cold War is back.
That sure does.
Well, RT's Sophie Shevardnadze recently interviewed the previous leader of the Soviet Union who helped to put an end to the Cold War, Mikhail Gorbachev. In a recent statement, he said that the current situation is getting so intense that someone's nerves might just snap. When asked if the threat of mutually assured destruction was no longer a sufficient deterrent today, Mr. Gorbachev said he thought it still was because today we have the knowledge of the extreme destructive nature of these weapons.
Sure. Now, Mr. Gorbachev gave the example of one intercontinental ballistic missile, or ICBM, classified by NATO as Satan. He said this one missile alone carries 100 Chernobyls in it. And that was a very big incident, a meltdown some years ago. And this is why I think everyone understands what an immensely destructive force this is. He went on to admit that the governments need to be careful not to let these weapons of mass destruction fall into the hands of any kind of extremists, saying this society is sick and it needs help. Wow. He's right on the money with that.
Well, when asked why he thought NATO would want to expand to the east, Mr. Gorbachev stated that's its political culture, its military culture. He pointed out how in the 1990s, Europe and the U.S. were pushing plans for a new world order, trying to establish a one-world ruling government patterned after the West. Now, we see an example of this from Vice President Joe Biden, who was recently speaking on the sanctions imposed on Russia over the Ukraine crisis.
Right. Well, Mr. Biden stated, or Vice President Biden stated, we've given Putin a simple choice: respect Ukraine's sovereignty or face increasing consequences. That has allowed us to rally most of the world's major developed countries to impose real cost on Russia. It's true, they did not want to do that, but again, it was America's leadership and the President of the United States insisting, oftentimes almost having to embarrass Europe to stand up and take economic hits to impose costs. And Jeff, Vice President Biden is actually admitting how the U.S. pressured Europe into coming against its Russian neighbors.
Well, Pope John Paul II had also said at the time, yes, we do need a new world order, which would be more stable, he said, more fair, more everything. Now, Mr. Gorbachev then went on to give his thoughts on how governments should govern today. He said he agrees with people like John F. Kennedy, who said, if you think that future peace should be Pax Americana, which means for the West only, he said, you're mistaken. It's either peace for all people or no peace at all.
Well, Mr. Gorbachev also gave insight on how the West looked at their position after the Cold War and actually started to take credit as if they were the sole winners. He stated, it was, in fact, a common victory shared by all nations, not by just any one nation. And yet the Americans said, no way, we won it. We won the Cold War. We did. Us. That's what we did.
Well, the problem with this, Mr. Gorbachev explained, is that this line of thinking leads to something. He said, if the Americans indeed won, they can make a conclusion. That conclusion being their way is right, and they should keep going forward with their policies. Now, this has led the U.S. to the creation of what Mr. Gorbachev called a new superpower, that supreme super empire. Now, he continued by saying, America wanted to rule the world. Americans lost their way. Any attempt to create a one-sided, one-polar world is just complete and utter nonsense.
Wow, powerful words. Now, the current-day president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, chimed in on the same note during a news conference in Moscow, saying the U.S. has reignited the Cold War. He said, we're not attacking anyone. We're not warmongers. We are only defending the interests, and because of this, the dissatisfaction of our Western partners are huge.
Well, all of this, including NATO's current push to expand its power into the East, has caused Russia to make some changes to its military doctrine. Now, while adding some new points and amending others, the original core military doctrine pretty much remains unchanged.
Okay. Well, Russia's proof of concern for this expansion by NATO can be seen in the Baltics, where there has been a surge in NATO troop numbers, tanks, and jets. There is an increased naval presence in the Black Sea, and Russia is currently concerned about protecting their interests in the Arctic as well.
While military doctrines are not exactly a rule book, but more of a guideline and a proclamation of concerns, Russia says it still reserves the right to use nuclear weapons only if it is attacked and only if its existence at a state is under a threat.
Well, but it's nuclear now.
That's right.
No longer conventional.
It's nuclear.
Well, now, some Russian political analysts say this new doctrine is the Kremlin's response to Western sanctions and the situation in Ukraine. And while previous doctrines have been concerned about situations unfolding in Central Asia, this new doctrine shows the deep concern the country has for how to respond to NATO and Europe, who they see ever increasingly encroaching on Russia's doorstep. And we've talked about that as NATO continues to expand its borders. It's continuing to surround Russia.
NATO has said they will continue to seek a constructive relationship with Russia on one hand. However, on the other hand, they are telling Russia it is breaching international law in Ukraine and undermining European security. All of this going on while pro-Russian rebels were meeting with members of the Ukrainian government in Minsk recently to start another round of peace talks. Now, the second meeting was canceled, however, and Katan, really no reasons given why, but we know other things are taking place.
That's right. Well, regardless of its internal situation, the Ukrainian government continues to take steps towards becoming a member of NATO. Kiev's parliament has voted to get rid of the law which forbids the country from joining any military blocs, and President Poroshenko had stated the new government's intent to join NATO soon after he was elected. Now, Russia has already said if Ukraine was to join NATO, it could turn them into a potential enemy to Russia.
Wow. In an interview with RT, when asked how soon Ukraine could join NATO, British journalist and broadcaster Neil Clark said he thought the member states will be very divided on this issue of Ukraine joining them. He went on to explain, because if Ukraine was to join NATO, then there would be an incredibly dangerous situation. And Katan, in his words, he said that could trigger an all-out war.
And as we've mentioned earlier, nations are looking towards nuclear war, right? Not just conventional war anymore.
That's right. With all this proof, it would be unimaginable for someone not to believe we are on the brink of an all-out nuclear war. The nations are angry and getting ready for first strike. Soon everyone will see what Yisrael Hawkins has spoken concerning Yahweh's prophecies is 100% accurate. If your religion is holding you back from contacting the only prophesied work in these last days, then finding out too late will be of no benefit to you. Don't wait another minute. Contact the House of Yahweh today and educate yourself with the life-giving words of Yisrael Hawkins. Here's how.
And when you contact the House of Yahweh, don't forget to ask for your free Prophetic Word magazine and monthly newsletter. Here's how you can do that. To contact the House of Yahweh, you can write them at the House of Yahweh, P.O. Box 2498, Abilene, Texas 79604. You can call them at 1-800-613-9494. Visit them on any of their websites at www.yahweh.com, www.yisraelhawkins.com, or www.yahwehsbranch.com. You can email them at info@yahweh.com, and for all calls outside the United States, please call the number on your screen.
Don't go anywhere. Up next, another powerful message from Yisrael Hawkins. From all of us here at YPN News, I'm Jeffrey Heimerman.
And I'm Katan Alexander.
Thanks for watching.